Welcome back, it's me Lou, and I'm here for another action figure unboxing and review. And today, we are looking at this. It's a very big boy, it's a chonky boy. This is from the upcoming Dune film, and we have Baron Harkonnen from the House Harkonnen. It's a very large action figure. It's a very hefty action figure. And, of course, it's by McFarlane Toys, so you expect, this amazing detail and sculpting, which it has. So, the story behind this toy. Okay, so, these McFarlane Dune action figures, they came out a long time ago. A long time ago. I believe they came out, I want to say maybe toward the start of like the pandemic and lockdown, which is probably, I don't know, way back in, or for me anyways, we went into pandemic lockdown back in March, and, I think this action figure came out, maybe not that far back, but maybe a month or two after that. But these Dune action figures, they've been out for a long time, and the movie hasn't come out yet. From my understanding, the movie has been delayed because I don't know. I think with like a lot of the upcoming big releases in the movie theaters, there's been the whole deal with studios wanting to push for movies to be in the theaters, but because of the pandemic and COVID and all that, we're seeing a lot of movies going straight to like on demand and streaming. And from what I also heard is that the director of Dune, he was really pushing for the movie to be released into theaters first. I think that's also, partially because of money, partially maybe because of like, a creative standpoint. Movies are meant to be seen on the big screen. But either way, we got these action figures early, or maybe we were supposed to get them when we did get them. Maybe the movie was just pushed back. But anyways, as toy collectors, we win in the end because since this guy was on shelves forever and no one was buying them, he was eventually clearanced. And he went from being $39.99 to $19.99. Now, would I have paid the full price for this figure at nearly $40 when it first came out? Maybe if I saw the movie. But since I didn't see the movie, I don't know the context of this character. So, of course, I just passed on it. And I passed on him for months. But lucky me, last week I discovered him on clearance for $19. And I couldn't say no to that. The guy is gigantic. He's like the size of 3 McFarlane figures. And for me, $19, regardless of whether or not I saw the movie, he's incredibly detailed, well sculpted, and it's heavy. This is like, it feels like a cinder block. It's a giant figure. It looks like he comes with a cool base. It looks like, I don't know who Baron Harkonnen is. I'm not familiar with the Dune fiction. I've never read the books. I never saw the TV shows. I never saw the original movie, even though I should have, because I'm actually from that generation. The movie came out in the 80s. But I don't know, as a little kid, it didn't really pique my interest. But, as a grown adult, you throw a giant action figure like this at me, and I'm not going to say no at $19.99. It's a funny toy because it's gigantic. Here's the character from the film. It looks like a weird mix of like, I don't know, Marlon Brando and, I don't know, and actor, what's the dude's name? Michael Rooker. But it's funny. One of his middle finger has this weird like metal sleeve over it. Maybe that's his scratch and sniff finger. I don't know. But yeah, this is a giant, crazy figure. It's enormous. I really would think that if you want to test the waters of your relationship, you bring this home to your significant other and say, "Hey, honey, look what I brought home." And then, depending on your partner's reaction, they can really, test your relationship and see how much they really love you. So, especially if you have like a mortgage to pay or if the rent is due, you can really make their day. Just show up at home one day and they say, "Hey, look at this," and just plop it on the table and pretend you're all excited because it was on sale. They might roll their eyes and tell you to go leave and pack your things and get out of the house. Or, you know, if they really love you, they might embrace Baron Harkonnen and welcome him into your family. So, this is a big boy. The Dune packaging, it's very blah, in my opinion. The movie looks awesome, don't get me wrong, but I don't know much about Dune other than it's science fiction and it looks like it takes place on a desert. So, the figure looks really cool. It's like techno goth. The character design on the back, it looks all right. It's very kind of artsy and blah. I believe that's the sigil for the House Harkonnen. And we have the big Baron over here. It lets us know that there's a base included. It looks like he floats. So even though he's a chonky boy, he has maybe like anti-gravitational powers and he can float. And let's read his bio together. So Dune, Baron Harkonnen, the House Harkonnen. Evil personified, Baron Vladimir Harkonnen is an all-consuming force of malevolence, determined to feed his addiction to brutality. And then we have the other figures in the toy line. We have Paul Atreides, Lady Jessica, Duncan Idaho, and I think that's actor Jason Momoa. And we have Stilgar. I'm not sure if that's the Oscar Isaac character. Maybe. And then we have the Build-A-Figure, which is Raban or Rabin, and that's actor slash former WWE superstar Dave Bautista. So yeah, I'm excited that I got him for $19.99. He's ginormous, and we're gonna take him out of his cardboard prison and play with him. So let's get this opened up. So the other day I was texting one of my friends. We were like reminiscing and catching up because we haven't seen each other in a long time. And then we started talking about movies. And then she was asking me if I saw the Dune trailer. I'm like, yeah. And then she gave me that exploding head emoji because she's really excited for it. I'm excited for it too. My biggest thing though is that it looks like a long, complicated movie. And I hate long, complicated movies no matter how awesome they look. I grew up in the 80s, and in the 80s, all movies were like 90 minutes. And, you know, if you could tell a story, a good story, in 90 minutes, you win me over. Unless, you know, I'm not too hot onto movies that are like close to 3 hours or over 2 hours. Unless it has like wizards or like spaceships. This might have spaceships, but at the same time, it looks like it could be very dramatic. And I'm not always into drama. I'm more about the popcorn and the spectacle. Alright, so he's freed from his cardboard prison. First impressions of Baron Harkonnen while he's still in the plastic tray. He's big, he's detailed. And if you stare at him too long, you run the risk of falling in love with him. So avoid those bedroom eyes. It's really cool. It's almost like, I don't know, it's almost like a goth Neo Buddha figure. So if you rub his belly for good luck. Alright, let's take him out. I think that's it. I think it's just these two plastic things that hold them in. I hate it when you buy an action figure and then they feel the need to like tie down everything. You know, they'll tie them down at the neck, the shoulders, the elbows, the wrists, and the legs. Sometimes I think that's an anti-theft preventative measure. Other times I think they just want to make our lives miserable. And right now he does not want to come out. Alright, so here's his display stand. I'm going to set this aside for now. Yeah, the only thing that's holding him on were those two little ties, but alright, there we go. Whoa, he is a hefty boy. Wow, this is heavy. Okay, he's heavy, and I'm not sure if it is... Okay, so I don't know if his legs want to move. They're really stiff. Okay. Okay, at first I thought this was like a pimp cane. Like I thought that, like, you know, you look at a guy this obese, and my first thought is he's probably very immobile and he needs help walking. So I thought this was his cane, but upon further inspection, I believe this is actually, I believe, part of his base and stand. Let me get the base out. Alright, so here's the base. It's really nice. It has Dune etched into it. So I believe this is the stand. I think this plugs into here. And then this ball, it plugs into his... He has a hole in his butt. So if you see there's a hole in his butt. So you want to plug this very long rod up his butthole right there. And it's a ball joint. So my concern with this is that I've had figures before that, you know, you display them, they'd come with a similar mount and you mount them on a ball joint. But over time, the socket, for whatever reason, maybe it expands or gets loose. You know, he might have a loose butthole. Over time, you know, they won't hold as snug, and then they might shift over and move around and not, you know, be as posed as you want. And I could see that being the case with this guy. This guy feels he's at least 2 pounds, and I'm not exaggerating. You're looking at a very hefty thing. He doesn't feel hollow at all. He feels very solid. Really impressed with the detail. I think he lacks articulation in general. Like, his head doesn't want to rotate. I'm serious. If you stare at him long enough, he looks like a real dude. Just look at that. Yeah, oh man, the sculpt, his face, I don't know. There's something about having a larger figure. Like, this is a larger figure to begin with, but his head's like 3 times the size of like a standard like 6 or 7 inch figure, so that there's more detail, and you get all these tiny wrinkles and folds in his skin. It just looks so realistic. And his face, it almost looks like it's real, and he's like really just staring at you. It's so uncanny. But back to the articulation, his wrists rotate. Here's his hand with the stinky finger that has that sleeve over it. His arms just rotate, and that's it. His arms and wrists. His legs don't want to move. They look like this is going to be a very non-posable figure. This is strictly a display piece. This is the kind of dude that if you're into fig photography, he's not going to do much for you other than just float on his base. So here's his base. In all honesty, this base is amazing. If you're into fig photography, you know, just buy this base. You know, maybe fill the hole with some green stuff or some putty. Same with the Dune etching, and then you have a really cool display for any action figure. It's really nice. There's a really fine texture to it. The paint job's cool. There's some highlighting on the edges, and there's a nice, looks like a wash or a dry brush going on the surface. It really captures that crisp detail. So the base alone is really cool. Digging this. But man, back to this action figure. So examining it closely, the head sculpt alone and the paint application is amazing. I can't stress that enough. I mean, just look at that. I love the finish on the figure. Even though he's clad in all black, and it's kind of like a metallic. It's like almost like a gunmetal. It's almost like a silver, but a little bit more on the warmer side. I don't think the camera captures that all clearly. But he's mostly black, but it's cool because he has 2 different shades of black going on. He has a very gloss piano finish black for his upper armor pieces here. And then he has kind of like a leathery black finish on his bodysuit. So you get that kind of effect of like different layers going on. He has all these like strands attached to his body. They're not sculpted in, they're actually separate. These are actually separate pieces. And it looks like they're glued towards the tips. Yeah, this is like some sort of weird neo-goth design. It looks really wild. He has these like, I don't know what these are. Kind of has these bandages wrapped around his arms, and they kind of flail at his elbows. He has more of those kind of straps or strands attached to his back. Incredible detail and sculpting going on here on his like skirt. This almost has like a leathery kind of like texture to it, and it almost looks like real leather. It's a soft plastic that moves, which is nice because it allows you to bend it back when you want to plug the rod into his butt. Some nice micro texture on his pants. Some clean paint application. Yeah, really amazing. So this is where I might fall into the minority when it comes to articulation. So for me, I'm very biased towards like McFarlane toys in general. And for me, this feels like those older McFarlane toys that we got in like the early 2000s, late 90s, where those McFarlane toys and action figures, they felt more like miniature statues than action figures. They felt more like works of art than actual toys. And I know there's people like me that, they're more about having a display piece than having an action figure. Nowadays, it seems like the trend is to have, figures at a premium level, but with a lot of articulation. We see that with Star Wars and the Black Series. There's like the G.I. Joe Classified, the Ghostbusters Plasma Series. Even NECA with, some of their toys. They give us a lot of articulation, and they give us these incredible sculpts. They capture like if it's based off of a realistic character, they really capture that likeness. But it's at the same time they give you enough articulation to afford you to produce all these dynamic poses. For me, I love it sometimes. Like I appreciate just having the bare minimum in terms of articulation. I don't necessarily play with my toys. For me, they're more about display pieces. But it depends on the aesthetic of the toy to begin with. Like if I buy something that clearly looks like a toy, I might expect more articulation out of it. But for me, a figure like this feels more like a display piece. So I'm a little bit more forgiving in terms of the articulation. He doesn't need to do all the bells and whistles of like a Marvel Legends figure. For me, he just needs to just stand there, or in his case, float and look like what he's supposed to look like. I haven't seen the movie yet, but if I was just to judge this figure on the basis of what I'm handling right now, it's a clear winner, especially the fact that I got this for half the price. If we were to judge this guy on the individual merit of what he is, it's a wonderful piece. The paint application is superb, an easy 8, or even higher. Sculpting, a 9 or a 10. I feel that confident about the sculpting. Now there's some parts where it's like you can kind of see the seams like along his head right there. There's a seam line. And that's forgivable, but the sculpting is just amazing. I don't know if a figure like this is sculpted by hand or if it's done by a digital artist and he sculpted out digitally in a 3D program. Either way, the end result is beautiful. I can't say enough about the weight of this figure. It's a hefty figure. He has to weigh at least 2 pounds. So yeah, this is for me a premium collectible. If you're into Dune, it's not like we get Dune merchandise all that often. I believe he's, must-have purchase. Without seeing the movie yet and just judging what I've read on the back of the box, maybe this guy is, the Darth Vader to the Dune universe. And if that's the case, you kind of need him for your shelf. Very, very, very cool figure. So I'd like to assemble this and have them float for you, but my camera is a document camera. So it's just a camera that points down. It's very limited in its mobility and what it could do. So I'm not going to be able to display this floating or standing. But I'm sure you could go on YouTube or do a Google image search and to see how this figure is going to be actually displayed on his base. And the base is an excellent accessory. It's very detailed. And if you're a customizer, the base is awesome. You know, just fill out the hole and, you know, fill out gaps where the letters are and just repaint it, and I think you'll have a, you know, great display piece, you know, if you want to use this for like another brand of toys. So wrapping this up, yes, I highly recommend this guy. Should you pay the full price for him? Maybe. When the movie comes out, and if you love the movie, I think only then will you be able to decide if he's worth the full $40. For me, I was lucky. I found him on clearance. I suggest you do the same. If you're lucky and fortunate enough, you'll find them for maybe $19.99 or less. And if that's the case, purchase them. He's worth it just because he's a very unique looking character. And even if you don't see the Dune movie, maybe in your head you could just imagine he's maybe some sort of weird version of Marvel's Kingpin that has survived the apocalypse, and he's running the wasteland, and he wants to take over the Maestro's territory. So, I don't know. Awesome, fun figure. Very glad I bought him. He has a new home, and I'm very welcome to give it to him. So, wrapping this up, once again, my name is Lou. Thank you so much for checking out this video. If you're new to my channel, thanks for dropping by and sticking around for the last 20 minutes. I have a bunch of videos to check out, so check out that content, you know, whether into Marvel Legends, He-Man, G.I. Joe, whatever, Transformers. I probably have something for you, so check out my videos. If you are a returning subscriber, thanks again for your support, your comments, and your likes. I greatly appreciate it. So until my next video, take care, go out, buy some toys, hunt for toys, you know, whatever makes you happy. And I'll see you soon.